Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy October. It is hard to believe that we are in the month of October already, but it's great to see everybody. Welcome to our October 2023 MACAE membership check-in. If you would like to, as we wait for folks to come out, if you'd like to say hello in the chat, it's always great to see so many faces and people. I know it's a busy week, a busy day. A lot of our members are uh, obviously starting classes up, but also it's count day in the K-12 schools. So there's a lot going on certainly this morning. But good morning, everybody, and welcome to our October membership check-in. I am going to invite our MACAE president, Tammy Brown, if she has any things she'd like to say or any good mornings she'd like to give to say anything.
I was not prepared, but good morning, everybody. I can always find something to say. Just ask the board. Anyway, so excited. We have a week, and then we'll be at a conference. Actually, not even a week and a day, maybe
10 days
in a couple of days. And we will be at our conference together. We are so excited for our 40th anniversary of MACAE and Lansing with all of our legislators and governor and everyone that helped provide us some great opportunities we had this year that we hope you're all going to take advantage of. And just a shout out and thank you to Patrick for all his work in helping to get some of those opportunities up and running and some that are close to up and running that we'll hopefully have some announcements about. And just good morning and happy last day of summer, I think I can say.
Absolutely. Yes. This 80-degree weather has been wonderful, but reality will hit us. But we love fall, right? We just hope it lasts longer and doesn't lead to winter getting sooner. Thank you, Tammy, for those warm, welcoming words. And again, welcome to everybody for our MACAE membership check-in. I just want to open up the floor to anyone. A part of what we do at each membership check-in is allow you all as members to share any exciting news or updates, information that you'd like to share out with each other. We've had a busy fall already. Lots of good things I've seen on social media, lots of new staff coming in, lots of new opportunities. I will share that some good news from our end is that we had the opportunity to host a new to MACAE, a new director training probably about a month ago now, if not a little bit more than that. Time flies. But it was so great to spend a little bit of time with some of our new leadership in this space. And it was really nice to welcome them and to try to give them a space to build that community of practice that those of us that are a part of this organization know is so important and integral. So I want to welcome those new directors and new staff members to MACAE and to this landscape. But I will, as you're thinking about any good news that you'd like to share, you can put that into the chat. And in a moment, you can unmute and share. But I'd also like to open it up if we have any new MACAE members for the first time. If this is your first check-in or experience with us, if you would like to say hello, you can put that into the chat or unmute. So does anyone, is this their first membership check-in? If not, we'll go on to sharing good news. What good news do we have to share with each other this month? Tammy, do you want to share your exciting news I saw on social media?
I was hoping someone else would talk since I just talked, but okay. We are doing a student advisory council this year for the first time ever in our Troy continuing education history. Our elections are ongoing in the ESL classes right now. We already have volunteers. And we had our first market day where we had baked goods and coffee and tea and things. So on their break time, they all got together in the LGI and we're chatting away. We gave a little extra 15 minutes of break. So they had like a half an hour to kind of be social and buy little goodies. And they have some exciting things we're going to do this year. So I'm really excited to have students getting engaged at a leadership level and learning a lot of great skills with cash handling and planning and project management that they're going to need for their employment in the future.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tammy. Anyone else want to share any good news from your program?
Sure. Good morning, Patrick. And
good morning, Michael.
I was just at the Talent Pipeline Management. They have a National Learning Network Summit in Washington, D.C. earlier. That was last week. And we were able to present on our career pathway called the Edison Early Childhood Education Career Pathway to a national audience. And I was also made a TPM Fellow, which means that I'll be helping to support the guidance of curriculum and training for employer-led collaboratives across the country, and it will be inclusive of having a more specific career path for adult learners. That's something that they try to look at as where can we find new talent, and for some reason, we're the only TPM that actually has an adult learning organization across the country that is serving as the host of an employer-led collaborative, which means they're looking at us pretty hard. We're also the only employer-led collaborative focusing on childcare, which means they're looking at us really, really hard because every other employer-led collaborative has childcare as a challenge, but they don't have a talent pipeline for recruiting and supporting childcare providers and early learning professionals like we do. So yay, there was a strong Michigan contingent, and I made sure that they knew that I was a part of MACAE as well. So really great time. Got a picture at the White House.
Fantastic. That's awesome, Michael. Please make sure you share that out on social media and share that with us too, and we can elevate that out on our platforms. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sounds like some great sessions coming soon.
Yes, it does. um anyone else? Yeah, go ahead, Whitney.
I have so much good news. One is Mandy McDonald is on the call, but she called in and it won't let her introduce herself. But you guys will all meet her at the conference. She's wonderful. We're both driving to Alpena to go and meet with the workforce development at Alpena Community College. So that's more exciting news. And then also I wanted to share that we have a wonderful partner with Northeast Michigan Community Corrections. And I got a phone call about 2 weeks ago from the corrections case manager at Seago County Jail. And she's like, they asked me about getting a GED program, but I knew you guys did it. And just about overnight, we are now adding another site and adding another county jail. So that was really exciting. It happened so fast. And then another thing that's exciting, Sheboygan Jail, we've had just a trickle of students over the last year or two. And I reached out just to see, can you go around cell to cell and ask? They sent us 12 referrals. So our new teacher in Sheboygan is hopping.
That's awesome. It's so great to see programs growing and expanding and going into old places, new places, places that we haven't been before. And I appreciate you sharing that, Whitney, and welcome to Mandy on your team. And it sounds like you will have a great year ahead with all these awesome opportunities. That's awesome. When you say yes, it's amazing sometimes what can come from that. So thank you for saying yes to those people and those opportunities. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else have any good news you'd like to share?
I will, Patrick.
Yeah, hi, Mari.
We, as you know, nominated Senator Petersburg COABE Legislative Champion Award, and I have been communicating with his staff, trying to get him to come to our conference to receive his award. And finally, we got through and he's agreed. It's either going to be him or a member of his staff, hopefully him, on Tuesday during our award ceremony. So exciting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mari. And Mari and I have been in communication, and her leadership has been very helpful in many different ways. Mari is our state advocate fellow for adult education in Michigan and has been a great leader and an advocate for adult learning. She's worked with COABE over the last 6 months, really. Time flies, or 5 months, 6 months, and has helped us plan the adult education and family literacy week activities that we put on. She's helped myself and Ted Kroll, our advocacy person, put together our kind of 18-month calendar for our MACAE priorities for the next year and a half, and will be helping us to craft our legislative priorities for fiscal year 25. So we're very excited that Mari is here and she's actively engaged. And I just appreciate you, Mari,
Thanks.
being who you are and bringing all the energy that you have.
I appreciate you and working with you.
Thank you, Mari. Anyone else? Oh, Marcus, I see you have your hand up. Oh, let's see. Let's try that.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I got a couple things. We've had quite a bit of growth in the number of learners that we've served over the last 18 months or so, to where it was necessary for us to hire some additional staff. So we had a new coordinator join our customized workplace English program last week. She's from Sri Lanka and has extensive experience as a university registrar there. So she brings a lot of skill sets, and she's going to be a great addition to help us manage the growth that we've experienced. And then I see Robin's on the call as well. We both were part of a training for IT Advanced Camp with Carrie Heiner from the state. Had an extensive day yesterday, but helping to put together an impact plan for IET for the state. Some great discussions and conversations. So grateful to be part of that work. Carrie Much-Curry from our staff was there, and forgetting the name, Robin, of your colleague that was also on the training yesterday.
Becky Bowling as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcus, for sharing that. And thank you for volunteering for those exciting things. And Robin, you and your team as well from Kalamazoo. We've had several MACAE members participate in the different IET design cohorts, both the basic and the advanced. And I just think that that's wonderful that you all are participating in that, and kind of hopefully you'll share out all the information that you learn and that you glean. Really appreciate that, Marcus. And thanks for being up bright and early on this after a long day yesterday as well. Sarah Brooks, I see you have your hands. Good to see you, Sarah.
Good to see you. We just moved into our new facility.
Oh, wonderful.
So we are on the other side of the adult Sarah Metro, 9215 Michigan. So it's brand new. Sarah has always owned it, but they remodeled it. So we're in a new room with a new facility, and it's, pretty awesome.
That's fantastic. It's amazing what a little new space, a little fresh paint can do for for everything, right? So congratulations. That's amazing. Any other good news anyone would like to share? All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing out. I love that part of the membership check-in every month. I'm so always amazed at the amazing things that you all are doing at the local level. And I just think it's a great opportunity to share out what we're doing and help each other and share and inspire each other, share information, inspire each other. We have been busy this fall, and a couple of things that I wanted to share out. And Daikia was sharing that DPS-CD has been approved to become a CLEP test center, which is one of our special projects that we're working on. So I'm so happy to hear that Daikia and all the rest of our other CLEPs test setting partner programs that we're launching. We'll have a lot to share on that over the next year and a half. And thank you for sharing that, Daikia. We have been busy this fall attending a lot of different training sessions and professional development opportunities, and just wanted to kind of recap for you some of the key ones that we've been a part of and some of the conversations and dialogues that we've been there. We had the opportunity, and thanks to our partners at the Michigan Works Association, to present participate in 3 different sessions at their conference in September. It was a great spot to network, to talk about integrated education and training for those of us that are in the workforce and education side of things. It was a really great opportunity to network and talk to some of our workforce development partners and to refer them back to many of you at the local level for support, for brainstorming, for recruitment and retention of learners, for client wraparound service support, in a variety of different ways. So I appreciate those of you that I've reached out to individually to kind of say, hey, I met this person and they need to know about you, and your patience and your wisdom to share out the information about your program is so important in those spaces. And so it was a great conference at the Michigan Works Association. A lot of conversation about how do we upskill and help more learners, more adults, more students get into the spaces that they need to, if they're interested in continuing on in their education or continuing on to some sort of training. And now, as we've been talking about, there's a lot of resources now coming to bear together that can be leveraged to really support the whole learner in their education, in the training costs, and the wraparound support. And so we're excited. We were excited to be a part of that conversation and thankful for the Michigan Works Association to allow us that opportunity to present there. We also had the opportunity to present at the MASA, the Michigan Association for School Administrators and Superintendents. That was a really important one for us, as we have started presenting. I think this is the third year that we've presented at that conference. And this year was particularly important because we wanted to share out about all of the investments across the state budget that impact our association, all of you as members from early childhood through adult skill building, and really letting local school K-12 leaders know about those things. Certainly they are very knowledgeable about the larger K-12 investments and what it means for those communities, but what does it mean for the before and after school funding opportunities that are out there? What does it mean for the flexible learning grants and things like that that are available, as well as our influx in adult education resources? And so we had a nice dialogue with many superintendents. We were joined by Erica Luce from the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, who co-presented with us. And we also shared with the superintendents the opportunities for additional grants that will be available this year through the Innovation Grant 107A, and also the renewal of Section 107 funding and WIOA funding coming up later this program year in the winter months in preparation for another 3 or 4 year cycle, depending on the grant. So part of this is giving them small tidbits of information, trying to share out the importance of why our programs are important to the communities that they are in, sharing out how districts and school leaders can partner with adult education, alternative education, community education, and even talking to some about starting up those programs and what it means for their communities, or what it could mean for the people that live there, residents, and for the families that they provide services for. So it was a great opportunity to be there, and also to just kind of understand the landscape of education in our state and where things are focused on. And then lastly, we attended the National Council for Workforce Education Conference. This was a great one, talking about really the state of our workforce nationally. Where are there trends? Where are kind of the hot button in-demand jobs that are needed? And what is maybe the skills gap that learners have, whether that's they're not interested in some of the positions that are open or available, or they don't in the interim have the skills necessary to fill those in-demand jobs. And a lot of concentration on artificial intelligence. I'm so glad that we have 1 or 2 sessions on artificial intelligence at the upcoming MACAE Fall Conference. I definitely think that we'll have some virtual opportunities for that coming up this year that we're working to plan. And so it was a good conference just to kind of understand the bigger picture of what are other states experiencing in this space, and really trends on how we can create better pipelines and pathways for many of our learners who are interested in those sectors. Going backwards, not forward. So let's go forward. All right. Something else that I think would be important to share with you, and we had shared this with our board of directors at our last board meeting, is something called the Growing Michigan Together Council. It was launched just a few months ago by executive order of the governor. And it really has created a space for 4 statewide work groups, being jobs and talent, K-12 education, the third being higher education, and last infrastructure and places. And these, really the whole intent of this initiative is to attract, retain, and grow Michigan for the future in many different ways, through the economy, through having a robust education system, certainly the roads and improving our infrastructure, bridges, those types of things, but making Michigan a better place to live and to work and to thrive. And so that's been a mission of the governor, to create these task forces, to solicit feedback from community partners and regional, statewide partners all across our state. And then all of those work groups have sub work groups where they will be having listening sessions, where they will be reaching out to community partners. Some of you may be a part of these conversations, or maybe asked to be a part of these conversations. And so we wanted to share this information because these are the things that will set some of the priority statewide vision for the future. And we know that our programs in many ways are the solution to many of the challenges that our local communities face. Having an educational center where people can rely on, that has funding, that serves all families, all creeds, all levels, all ages, having a place that you have wraparound supportive services, having a place where you can provide them free or very highly reduced educational services. All of those things are impactful, powerful things for any community. And so I would encourage you, if you hear of these in your local or regional spaces, to be a part of these conversations, to visit the website growingmichigan.org, find out who's on these work groups and share with them your knowledge about what you know and what you think is a priority for these work groups. Each work group will be making recommendations to the governor on state policy changes, future funding investments that perhaps should be in place to really move the needle. We are losing a significant number of population every year in Michigan. People are leaving our state. And so really trying to support them in staying, having a highly skilled workforce here in Michigan to sustain the in-demand jobs that are needed and bring people into this landscape. So please visit that website. There was a higher education work group that met actually in Holland, I believe, just last week or the week before. It was a 2-hour virtual meeting. It was kind of interesting to listen into. It wasn't open to the public, but you could live stream it and listen in that way and ask questions within the chat. So there will be more opportunities like that available, and we'll try to share those out as those different work groups have an opportunity to share out or to convene in together. Mike O'Connor, I saw you had your hand up. Do you have a question or comment?
Yeah, good morning. How are
Hi.
people selected to be on one of these groups?
They were selected by the governor.
Oh, of course, okay.
Yeah. So there was not.
From all these different segments of society?
Correct, yes.
What about from adult education, anyone?
There was, to my knowledge, no one from adult education.
See, there needs to be.
I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah, but I volunteer you.
Well, I am happy to, step into that role, but I also think that for some of the work groups, they will have some sub work groups where you all at the local level are the better experts, actually, probably to serve in those spaces, because those work groups, each overarching work group, like the jobs and talent, will have like 3 sub work groups. And so those recommendations will then go to the larger work group, which will then be pushed on to the governor and the higher, policy folks. And so we should really have a spot at all of those tables, in my opinion.
Well, if you find out about anybody or anyone else finds out about anyone in your school system, in your district, or in your region from a school system who's selected, please let us know, because we could work our way into it that way and have some influence in it.
Absolutely. And if you look, Mike, too, and others too, not just you, Mike, but others too, on that, it should list who some of the folks are on the committee, and we know some of their names. And so there are, some superintendents, there are some business leaders in different communities that I know you and other programs within their areas work with, are familiar with, you know, and would recognize, you know, and can
Yeah.
tap on their shoulders and say, hey, don't forget about this as a important part. Really, I mean, 3 if not 4 of all of the work groups I think could have adult education,
Mhm.
alternative community education as a part, as a voice of the table.
Yeah, definitely. We could be easy to get in the back door because some of us all have, everybody has a contact somewhere here.
Yeah,
Yeah, good. Thank you.
absolutely. And I think it's important, and I applaud the governor for putting this forward. Now, whether or not it leads to significant policy changes is always something to be seen. We've seen lots of governors assemble lots of task forces and work groups over time, but it is important that we're there because our programs are a part of building the future landscape of our state, and filling a lot of, like I said, meeting the needs of lots of the challenges that we see currently as a solution. Shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to share that at the end of this month coming up, October 26th, is Lights On for After School Day. So if you have the opportunity, it's part of a national campaign, and I've included the link here. We will be sending out information on that. But Lights On for After School is really a celebratory day and event to mark our before and after school programs nationally, the importance of them, like we were just talking about, what they mean for kids and for families, the types of programming that they offer, what they do to reinvest back into local communities, what it means for local school districts. Many after school programs, you know, are provided at no cost. Sometimes they're provided for low income families, and they really serve as a space for all families and all kids to thrive, youth as well. And so we'll be celebrating that day, and the Lights On portion encourages programs to actually turn their lights on to celebrate or to spotlight their school. So whether that's you know, taking a photo with the lights on and at your program and, you know, being very bright. There's also an element of it of actually putting a green filter or a film on your light. So many schools or entities that provide this will do it like on the flagpole light that's outside, and you can put one of those green filters on your light, and it demonstrates, you know, green for after school. So we'll be sharing information out on that, but I think it's a great way to mark that. We'll be marking that at MACAE in a couple of different ways, and would just really encourage all of us that support that work to support after school programming. It's so important, and it's very critical to our families here in Michigan. And our awesome community education group will be meeting on Monday afternoon and evening of the conference. We'll be including that in the updated conference agenda for an afternoon networking event. So if you are in this space, if you'd like to learn more about this space, if you want to know who other colleagues are in that community education space, that would be the great leadership of Brian Puffer, bringing folks together, and they'll be having a little bit of a soiree just for those community education folks at the conference. So more information will be in the packet or in the agenda that comes out, again, refreshed this week. And we're very much looking forward to not only that event, but the Lights On for After School Day. It's so important that we are promoting and supporting all those programs. A couple of notes on alternative education and flexible learning. Today is count day. So those of you that are on, hopefully you had great attendance, 100% attendance today. If you have to rely on count day numbers as a part of your program, it's a really critical day for capturing the students that are in seat and making sure that they're there, getting a quality education, and it ultimately leads to stable and increased funding for all of our public school systems. And so it's an important day. Thank you for what you do to try to rally the troops and get everybody to school that needs to be there in seat at this time. We wish everybody a good count day. And those of us in adult education may or may not miss count day, but on some of these days, we're kind of grateful that we don't have to do count day anymore on the adult ed side. the funding is another issue, but comp day, I remember those days of trying to make sure we had everybody in and having 4 Muhammads and trying to keep track of who everybody was. So thank you to those that are working on count day. The second thing I wanted to share is that the Michigan Department of Education has released the application for Michigan Teacher of the Year. We have some awesome educators within our membership that do alternative adult education. This would be an awesome opportunity and a time to nominate someone for this auspicious award. So I believe it's open until the end of the month. October 26th, I believe, is the date for the application, the nominations to be live. Please consider nominating someone, taking the time. I know sometimes it's hard to find that time, but we know who those awesome people are that we want to recognize and that we want to highlight and that we want to share. So please possibly consider nominating someone. And then the last thing was that I saw this very interesting thing, and I've included the link, is that the Department of Education is inviting high schools to be a part of really creating and envisioning opportunities for students to go into the space industry. And so there's a challenge that will ultimately lead to award dollars for that high school for students to kind of share about what their future looks like in that industry. What's exciting is that the Department of Ed is viewing the space industry as the umbrella of a lot of different things, as you can see. And so those individual students have an opportunity to submit a design platform and portfolio or a product or a service submission. And really it's a great entrepreneurial project as well. And I think that we have all of our alternative programs that maybe do some problem-based learning and could look into something like this and to think about applying for that, or at least submitting a nomination for that. So just wanted to share that with you all. A few updates for adult education and integrated education and training. It's actually been a little bit of a quiet fall, I will say. I would just recommend that everyone reviews the recently released assessment policy, or excuse me, not assessment policy, teacher certification policy that has gone out, as well as the allowable cost policy that has been updated from the State Adult Education Office. Certainly we can resend those out. They're also on the Adult Education State website. But minor tweaks. I think it's important that we know about that. I've been having conversations with different regions and different programs about some of those changes, and also referring folks to the state office for greater guidance on those things. But just to be abreast of those changes is really important. And we've reviewed a lot of those as MACAE members over the summer, and in August and September, we had several sessions around the teacher certification policy in particular. But in regards to Section 107A, which is the hot button issue topic of the fall, our understanding is that there is still an October timeframe for releasing the RFP for Section 107A, the new grant. They are working on that, and it is anticipated that that will come out in the month of October. We are in October, so we're already 4 days in, and we haven't seen it, but I've been told October is the time frame. And the other thing that I really want to highlight is in our continued conversations is when we talk about innovation, there are going to be some measurable outcomes tied with that. So I think it's important that we just reiterate these outcomes, you'll know, are not different than what our expectations now are for our state and federal funding, or the outcomes for our learners. And one of the things that we will continue to have to do, as we always do, is balance the needs of our learners and what those measurable outcomes are from a state and federal perspective. And so many of our learners will fall naturally into one of these categories. Some may not, but I do think that there's going to be spaces to still help all of our adult learners in this space. But I would just reiterate or re-highlight that the language, or the intent of the language for this innovation, highlights that projects that focus on increasing enrollment or lead to increased enrollment, or that help more learners get earn their high school equivalency and diploma completion, or gain a level for their English language, are obviously ones that are going to be viewed as being the most innovative, because those funds that you're asking for or additional resources are then leading to more maximal potential, not only for the program and for the system, but for those learners to transition and meet more of their goals. And that is the intent of it. So we can be very creative with how we tie a lot of innovation into these things. But I just want us to reiterate and re-support what we're kind of have to be reporting out on, and what are the outcomes that we're being expected to lead to. And then lastly, transitioning to post-secondary and training. I mean, that's, again, all of these are metrics that we currently have in some fashion, either to be by state or federal funding. But I think what will be important for us is that we will be asked to evaluate how much of an impact we're going to have. In a 3% and a 5% and a 10%, we're going to increase our enrollment, or we're going to be able to increase this many more learners completing in this time frame. Those are the types of things that our innovations are going to be asked to be measured on and to be evaluated on, and to ask why additional resources are needed if at a local or regional level additional funds are requested. So just keep that in the back of our mind. I think that's doable. I think all of what we do leans to those things, but we will need to just continue to articulate that and those connections between things such as wraparound supports and what how those help lead to these things. We know that they do. We just have to tell folks how they do that. And then lastly, I would just mention that one of the prevailing pieces of the conversation has been projects that involve multiple community partners will be encouraged through the RFP process. So if you are able to demonstrate that you're working on a regional level, or that you're working with multiple entities, you know, trying to really amplify, boost, expand the you know, the way in which your services are reaching into communities, those will really be very strongly encouraged. I don't want to say that they will be selected over another, but I think the intent is to say, you know, how are you doing something and really doing it in a robust way? And could that involve other partners at the table that are contributing to that mission and contributing to the goals outlined in that second bullet? So just some things to think about as you're planning, as you're thinking about those. We are going to kind of weigh our October time sessions for continued webinars. There will be a space at the conference for us to have time to talk about this. And hopefully by that time the RFP will be out and we can dig into the weeds a little bit more about those specific things as well. But innovation is the name of the game this fall. And I'm very excited to see what some of our regional and local providers have already thought of, and what they will continue to come together about throughout this process. We are coming to towards the end. I think I've just got a couple of more updates, but I wanted to share this kind of really important piece, which is part of our current educator talent pipeline. And I think that I have not had a week this program year without someone bringing this up to me about how important it is that we have qualified staff in our positions, but also how challenging it is to find qualified staff. And obviously we know this, it's hard to find anyone right now to fill a job, let alone a part-time job, let alone a job that maybe doesn't offer full benefits, all of those things. And so something that we are watching in the state legislature is that they are considering a bill that would eliminate the 9-month waiting period for retirees to return back to work into a school district. I've included the link there for you to kind of read it and look at it. It has essentially the timeline for this. It has passed out of it started in the Senate. It's passed out of the Senate committee and is now going to go to the full Senate. It would then, if it passed through there, have to go through debate and be voted on. It would then have to go to the House, and they would follow the same process, adopted in committee, have to go through the full House, and then would have to go and be signed by the governor. So there's still a significant, probably months window here for the implications of this and thinking about this. But this is something that both the education community has been supporting. I think MACAE, when we talk about this at our board, will support this on behalf of many of you as members. And if you have feedback, please share that with us in email or in the chat even now. But this is a really important priority. And so currently there's a 9-month waiting period after someone retires before they can return to work into the school system, so that essentially they're not double dipping on their retirement. So what this would do would be eliminating that 9-month waiting period. A retiree could return immediately back and earn up to $15,100 over a 6-month period. After that 6-month period ends, then their salary could be renegotiated at whatever level they and the district or the entity that they're working with decides it to be. And so they would be capped during that 6-month period. And then I think probably most significant would be that this is being proposed as a temporary change, and that it would only be in effect for 5 years. And the reason for that is because at the same time that this would be going on, there have been lots of projects launched statewide to create a fast track, accelerated track for more educators, professionals to go into the teaching landscape. And so the thought process behind this is that the trajectory says within 5 years, we will have a more robust talent pipeline and a broader cohort, if you will, of ample teachers and educators that are into this profession, are able to fill some of these high in demand positions. And so I think that is the mitigation, if you will, or the mediation, negotiation between the two political parties in our state, is that there would need to be a time frame for it. We've seen things like, if you remember, the critical shortages list was initially brought on as a time frame, and then it was extended. So I mean, things can always change, things can always be extended, but this is something that's out there. I think it's good for districts, it's good for retirees, it's good for many of our programs, especially many of the positions that we're trying to fill that are part-time or in demand, and that we, trying to find someone who has all these credentials and wants to work for $23 an hour or whatever is, a real challenge. But it's an important one because they're critical functions of our program. So we will keep watching this. We will keep updating you on this as it moves through. We will do our best to kind of solicit some feedback on where you all stand in support of this, but really the broader education community is really supporting this effort, and we'd like to join them in that. So thank you for those of you that have shared feedback thus far on this particular issue. Like I said, every week someone has mentioned it to me at least once. And so we will keep monitoring this and let you know if things move forward as they go on in time. And then two last things, and I won't belabor this, but we do have this Friday, our virtual pre-conference on Friday, October 6th. We have 3 awesome sessions that will be provided and available. They will be recorded, and so even if your staff or you cannot attend, you can always go back later and watch the links, and sketches are available. You can earn sketches. But we started this virtual pre-conference last year as an opportunity for those that are not able to join us in person to have an opportunity to still be getting some of the most relevant and content materials that we're offering, not only at the conference, but just throughout our programming. And so if that's something that's of interest to you, it's not too late to register. You can do that this week. We'll be sending out the links and information both today and tomorrow for those that have registered, and just really want to encourage folks that would like to be a part of that to do that. And for those that are able to join us for our conference, we are so excited. We have put a lot of time and effort and work into this conference. It's going to be a great one. This is our 40th anniversary conference. We actually just celebrated our 40th birthday as the MACAE Association, October 1st. 1983 was the year that MACAE was founded by 2 different organizations coming together, the Community Education Association of Michigan and the Adult Administrators Association of Michigan came together and formed MACAE. And we'll be sharing a little bit about the history at the conference, but we're very excited. We've got some special things planned for the 40th anniversary. We have a lot of awesome sessions as well. Hopefully you've got a chance to look at the agenda for that. A couple of notes that I just wanted to share with you is that the conference does start on Sunday. It does start at 2 p.m. We're doing a soft open. There will not be a general session, but there will be breakout sessions at 2 p.m. and then another one at 3:45. We then roll right into, we have a new attendee or first time attendee session. So if it's your first time coming to the conference, you want to be there because we'll talk through what you can expect at the conference, where things are located, what's happening, what are the special events, who you should know, where you should stop, what are you looking for. We can help direct you. We've got an awesome board and team and volunteers that are going to help be doing that. And then we have our awesome president's reception. So Tammy Brown, our president, will be hosting everyone at the Lansing Brew Center on Sunday evening. And then both Monday and Tuesday, we have a full slate of dynamic keynote speakers and sessions. And then Wednesday will be kind of a half day kind of debrief from all those things. We've got a couple of wonderful advocacy sessions and some sessions on innovation and strategy. And then we will end our conference on Wednesday, just a few steps out the door at the Capitol with the picture. Hopefully the weather is nice because it has been nice the last few weeks. So we're very excited about that. I'm excited for the conference. If you have not registered, please go ahead and do that. Registration is still open. What I would note too is that we did have a little glitch with the online hotel registration. And so we would encourage you just to call the hotel directly. They have fixed on their end the glitch, but they don't yet have an available electronic link for us. So the best thing that you can do is call the hotel directly. If you need that information, we'll send it out again. But the room block is available through October 9th, and you should get the room block $149 a night. So you can call them directly. They know, they have our information, and they will be able to book you and secure your room for that. Just a few other notes about the fall conference. Kind of mentioned a lot of these. On Monday, we will have our vendor reception right on spot at the convention center. And so you want to make sure that you're there. Also, we have an offsite event at Spare Time Lansing Bowling, free bowling. Come and join us. We'll also be having the euchre tournament, the legendary MACAE euchre tournament, on Monday evening at the Spare Time Lansing event. And then on Tuesday, we have the Riverboat Cruise. If by some chance you have not registered for the Riverboat Cruise and you need to, or you would like to, today is the absolutely last day that you could register. So please reach out to me. You have until about, I would say 10 a.m., about 13 more minutes to register if you have not registered yet. We really do need to get a final list to the boats so that they can prepare their staff and their crew, and there will be a full meal for everyone that's there. So please email me directly if you need to register for the Riverboat Cruise. We really don't want to leave anyone out, but we need to have a cutoff so that we can let the boat know what they need. And then last thing I would say is if you are willing for a basket donation, that's a MACAE tradition. If you would like to bring some items to raffle at the conference in a basket, please do that. We've already got some awesome baskets that people are planning. You would include a brief description of the contents of your basket, the name of your program, and the value of the contents of the basket. And you can email that information to Chad Zitterkoff. We've sent this information out once, but we'll definitely make sure that we send it out again. And then make sure that you bring some extra cash, not only for buy tickets for the baskets so you can win, but also for the 50-50 raffle. I believe last year the winner got over $600 in cold hard cash. So there's a lot of fun things to look forward to. The conference is a great networking opportunity. If you're on the fence about coming, you should come. There is no other opportunities available in our landscape for being with your partners, networking, bringing things together. I know I am a little biased, but it is so important that people are there and that you're in the environment where you are surrounded by colleagues that do similar work as you and have ideas that you can bounce off and share. There's only so much that we can do virtually, and there's only so much that we can sometimes do within our local program. So if you have the opportunity to come, we would encourage you to please do that. And that is it. So thank you all for your updates, for sharing out. I hope that we were able to give you some good information. We will stay on here for a few more minutes if anyone has any comments or questions that we can address, singularly. But does anyone have any comments or questions for the greater order before we kind of dismiss for the day?
Patrick, this is Karen Lynn. Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Yes, I
Hi.
can.
I'm just wondering, has anybody heard anything about when the WIOA RFP is going to be coming out?
So the time frame for that, Karen, would be in probably February, between January and March of 2024. Is that what you're
Right.
talking about for the next cycle? Is that what you're talking about?
Right, because I thought somebody told me that we should be looking for it in November, but you're saying January?
Yes, I think that
Anything in 107
November.
A, Karen?
No, WIOA.
I would say, Karen, that November would be pretty ambitious based on
Yeah,
on
that's what I
based
thought.
not on our time frame, but based on the time frame of some of the state that are trying to coordinate both the final reports for last year's WIOA and approving this year's grants for 107 and WIOA. Yeah, I've been told that like more January to February is the more idealistic time frame
So
for
that's kind of when we're gonna get hit with 107 too, right?
correct.
All at once.
All at
Okay.
once. Yeah.
Busy winter coming.
Yes. What's the movie? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
At once.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
And the special programs grant.
And the special
Yeah,
programs.
exactly.
Patrick, I had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I've seen some reporting about a couple of bills that are coming out of the Michigan State Senate regarding translation of state documents for that would require, I think it looked like the vast majority of any documents, forms that people have to interact with from the state into the recipient language. Curious if you know anything about the likelihood of that passing and the impact that it might have on the ALP and other forms related to WIOA that our learners would be interacting with?
Yes. So a couple of comments on that, Marcus. So one is that within state government, the Office of Global Michigan, if you're familiar with that office and if others are, that is an office that has focused on immigrant populations and transitioning highly skilled immigrants that have certifications and other credentials in other countries to try to fast track them and get them onto a successful pipeline here so that they can be gainfully employed in either that same position or others. They are a very small staff. They have a very small budget within the state budget as well, but they've been doing some good work for probably about 7 years now over the last few years. So they, as a part of their work, have been going into all of this departments of state government and providing guidance on how to engage with immigrant populations and refugees. That includes how to talk to populations about their trauma and the experiences that they've had, how to engage with them from a, especially those that maybe have disabilities or that obviously those that don't speak English as their primary language or don't speak English very well or have low English language proficiency. So that from a statewide perspective has been an internal kind of HR human resources strategy that all departments, all offices within all departments, whether it's the education department or the labor and economic opportunity department, that they have been going through some sort of training to participate and to do that. So from that has sparked this conversation around, well, if the people are being trained within the state offices to engage, shouldn't then the policies and the forms and the other pieces of information that they share publicly also be in formats and also go through a scrutiny or a process to engage with these same populations? It's not just the people, it's the actual documents and the resources and the tools that we have. So yes, there is some movement to have some of that as you were describing. I think that it ultimately will be successful. I think that in terms of the ALP, what will be encouraged will be the 3 primary languages or the 3 most common languages that are spoken in the United States. I think that will be a starting place for the ALP to be available in. That is something that is, you can currently do on your own to have those translated, and then to have, that filled out by that learner in their native language. But I do know that the priority that I've heard would be that they would only be able to focus their energies on like probably Spanish, probably Arabic, and maybe some like maybe Farsi or a third highest language as a starting point, because otherwise they might have like 50 or 75 different languages that they have to translate that into. So I think in the short term, we will need each other because many of us have translated this or have our own practices in place where we've connected with local, proficient speakers, bilingual speakers that have done this for our programs. So I think in the short term, we will need to share those ALPs that have been translated and those kinds of resources out. But in the long term, I think that the state will have some documentation that is at least in those 2 or 3 primary languages, that not only is the ALP, but also some documentation that describes the purpose for these documents. Why are we asking you to complete this, almost like a script, if you will, for, we're calling you, we're asking you to do this, we're asking you to complete this adult learner plan. But that's the extent that I see in terms of like the adult learner plan. But I definitely think that other agencies like the Secretary of State and others will have more robust translation required of their services as they engage with more learner populations and with more non-English primary speaking populations. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions from folks? All right. Well, I hope you have a wonderful month. October is my favorite month. I love fall. We're looking forward to seeing you at many of the upcoming events that we have. You can always reach out to us. We are going in through a little bit of a transition with our staff at our MACAE office. We are filling our our association coordinator position that was previously held by Dawn. So if there is a delayed response, please understand that as we go through that. But we're always here to answer your questions. We'll do our best to do that. Please reach out if you have any comments or questions. And we're looking forward to seeing you all, hopefully at the fall conference coming up very soon. So take care, everyone. I'll stay on for a few moments if anyone has any other kind of more private comments or questions, but I hope you have a wonderful month. And thanks for all you do. And thanks for being a part of MACAE. Take care.
Patrick, I need a minute of your time.
I need a